your book Values, for example, which extensively talks about a reorientation of the market around the climate imperative. I think Canadians had been asking throughout the campaign, and now, like, is this Prime Minister Mark Carney of values, or is it the Prime Minister of the campaign? Like, are you going to build that pipeline if the consensus exists?
First off, I've said repeatedly yes, first point. Secondly, that because I understand the need for that consensus, I'm a prime minister who can help create that consensus. You can't create a consensus on your own, but you have to drive processes that bring provinces along, bring the private sector in. Remember, I've got extensive experience. This is not just a concept to me. I have been involved in major energy projects for over 3 decades in the private sector. So I've got that experience, bringing the provinces, working with Indigenous partners, putting it in place, as we have, billions of dollars of financing for those Indigenous partners, bringing in somebody like Tim Hodgson, who, when he was CEO of Hydro One, was one of the only major corporations to have a major Indigenous partnership program that actually worked. So we're bringing the components in. We have to deliver. Let me make another point, because I appreciate that you've read my book very carefully. At the core of the way I talk about the energy transition is the future of, including about Canada being an energy superpower, is the future is low risk. Canada's low risk is a business investment place. Low cost. We're getting costs down, including the oil sands. The marginal production is low cost, and low carbon. All 3 of those come together. We have the ingredients of all that. Let's get together and move on it. And it takes more than just one pipeline in order to accomplish.
And I do understand that.
So, up to now, he sounded almost like a conservative. Like, if you did not know who Mark Carney was, and we just told you, hey, this is the new Prime Minister of Canada, you have no idea, and I ask you, what do you think he stands for? He sounded as conservative as Pierre Poilievre on this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he could have absolutely ran as a conservative leader as well. Certainly, the way the Conservatives are shaped today, the policies are not that far off. And honestly, the policies that are different, I don't think they have anything to do with Carney. They're just because he's head of the Liberal Party, so he has to be that way. But I just think he's just being so disingenuous here. You know, he keeps insisting that he's going to do all these things and kickstart the economy. And he's in the media for the most part, except for this one here, this journalist who when I saw this, I thought she did a pretty good job.
Impressed. I was actually impressed. Yeah, I was impressed by her.
Yeah, just that she kind of pushed back. But she, no one's pushing back. I mean, except for her, and even she's not really pushing back too hard on the Bill C-69 thing. And it's just, he can say all he wants, but without repealing Bill C-69, nothing's going to get done. And we talked about this a lot over the course of the campaign, and I'm absolutely certain this is intentional, right? What he's doing is making promises that he knows he won't be able to fulfill, and then when he doesn't, he has a perfect excuse that he couldn't get it done. Hey, I wanted to do it, but what can you do? The law is the law. Bill C-69 is in place, but like left out of that is Bill C-69 could have been repealed, and of course there's none of that. So he's essentially tying his own hands behind his back intentionally.
I'm not sure. I don't trust him. He's a politician, obviously. There's, Jason Lavigne said yesterday on the show, which I totally agree with him, where that Carney came in to finish the job Trudeau started. Like, I completely agree. We'll release a reel about this, actually. Yeah, thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks, Nico, for bringing that up. But yeah, we'll release a reel about this week, this evening. But to me, that's just what it is. He's not genuine at all.
No.
But she's gonna press him again, and he's almost gonna have a look within yourself moment. Like, you can tell that he's about to tell her off.
Anytime he gets pressed the slightest, he comes back hard, and it's not a good look. There's a way to come back hard against media, but like, he does it as if he's hiding something, and just the entitlement. Like, who are you to question me? How dare you question me?
It's King Carney. Like,
Yep.
But I think, like, in your book,
do you want to just pause that for a second? I'll just take a couple of these questions here.
Let's take them afterwards, or else this video is going to last 30 minutes.
Okay.
let's just finish it because it only gets worse from there, right?
Yep.
You talk about the merits of a carbon tax. And now we have a different Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who says, the first thing I did in this very room was get rid of the carbon tax.
Got rid of
Can
the
Canadians,
consumer carbon tax,
correct,
which is different than
the industrial side, but it's still a portion of the carbon tax scheme
and
that existed in this
how much of the
country.
resources did that how much of the emission reduction did that consumer carbon
9%.
tax? Yeah, well, it's actually 6, but if you extrapolate it out to 2030,
If it went
it's 9.
as far as it was supposed to go, it's supposed to be, it's not nothing.
9%. It's not nothing. It's not much.
He basically just said that the carbon tax is bullshit. Like the consumer carbon tax. How dare you question me? It was almost nothing. You are the one that proposed Trudeau to do it. We all know that this was your fucking idea, asshole. Like, are you kidding me?
And
are
again,
you fucking kidding me?
And I think it's worth bringing up that we regularly do it just in case someone is watching the show for the first time. He did not actually eliminate the carbon tax. He slid it down to 0%.
Yes.
That the carbon tax is still in place. It's still on the books. And at any moment, he can slide it back up again if he wants to. But what's kind of interesting is here he's like, it's funny because he's like, what is that? 6%, 9%. So he's even admitting like it barely, most of the carbon out there still has a tax on it, right? That means 91% of the carbon still is taxed, and those prices are baked in because it's industrial carbon, right? Which means any product that we consume, that we buy, and that's baked into the price of those products. So that tax still exists. It's just invisible.
It's not much, and we can.
It's not much, bro. It's not much.
Don't worry, we're still taxing most of the carbon.
Approaches,
don't worry,
including collaborative approaches, which is what I'm looking to do. And look,
she looks like
How
she
can you
wants
be
to smack
collaborative,
him.
if you want a simple answer on will I support building a pipeline? Yes, that simple answer. Given that multiple times, but I don't stop at that. I don't stop at. For example, if you want a simple answer on how do I make homes more affordable, I could just say we're going to cut GST on homes. But that doesn't solve the problem. Just doing one pipe, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. That's a positive thing, and working.
No, instead, I'm gonna assign the minister job for housing of Canada to the guy that destroyed the house that caused a housing crisis in fucking Vancouver.
The mayor of the city that is like world famous for having insane cost of living. You know what I mean? Like. Fucking Vancouver? No. Really? The mayor of Vancouver for your housing crisis? That's like having the mayor of fucking Flint, Michigan as your water inspector. You know what I mean? It's
wow.
Sing buzzing. Yeah, it's just nonsense, man. All of it.
Collaborative in order to happen. But it's not enough. It's not enough to make Canada an energy superpower. It's not enough to build our full potential. It's not enough to truly get incomes growing across the country. We can do much more. We are going to be very, very ambitious. Build big, build bold, build now.
It does speak, though, to
that means
what
nothing.
People in Alberta and Saskatchewan.
I'm watching this.
For your party hold on. Right? They are worried that it is
build bold, build now. Very ambitious.
Because they're going to
big, build
bold.
It does.
I'm just going to pause it there just before she addresses Alberta.
Okay, and just as I'm watching this, I'm like. Honestly, I'm like, wow, this is all bullshit. But at the same time, I'm like, fuck, he's good, man. Like
he's clever, man.
The boomers are gonna eat this shit up. It sounds legit. Just
elbows
nobody,
up, bitches.
Yeah, I know, right? No doubt, right? And that's the thing is, no one's actually digging into it any more than is required. He's talking big and we're gonna do all these things. But again, you keep coming back to it. If you don't get rid of Bill C-69. It's just it's a non-starter. It's like if your country's engaged in a war and you're getting elected to be like, I promise I'm going to end the war, but you rule out talking to the other side about, how, will you negotiate a peace deal? Well, no, I'm not doing that. Well, how are you going to end the war? Look inside yourself, Rosemary or Rosie or whatever the fuck her name is.
Speak, though, to what people in Alberta and Saskatchewan who didn't vote for your party are worried about, right? They are worried that it is the Mark Carney of values. It is the Justin Trudeau government. And the reason I ask about that is against that backdrop, right? You are still saying you're going to keep C-69 in place. You are going to keep the emissions cap in place.
At least she's pushing back.
That as evidence of something. They view that part of me as evidence of something that runs counter to what you're saying right now.
What I've said very clear. Look,
nice.
I am a pragmatist. I go over and over on this, and I really am. I'm interested in results. So the point of building a pipeline, the point of building out carbon capture is to get the results, to get those barrels to the market, to get carbon down. You can do both. We have the capability to do more. And we have the capabilities financially, from a technological perspective, in terms of the companies. Federal government can play a role. The province of Alberta, obviously other provinces, Indigenous people have to come along for almost all of these projects in order for them to actually work. And
he's basically saying that we will build pipelines while respecting Bill C-69.
It's impossible.
Everything he just described is literally what Bill 69 is all about, providing veto to provinces and First Nations to kibosh any single pipeline that they don't want. They can say no, and that's what it is.
Well, and one thing I'm hearing is, oh, well, Liberals got some pipelines built, and like, okay, yeah, they did the Keystone, I believe it's called, but A, they did it 3 or 4 times over budget, and B, that was before Bill C-69.
Yep.
After they put Bill C-69 in, nothing has been built. No pipeline has been built.
And what I'm putting on the table is, okay, let's go. Let's not talk about this. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's focus in on specific projects, and let's work on them together. Now, very constructive, sorry if I may.
Look within yourself.
Conversations with Premier Mo,
what's your name again? Morning, Rob.
In this vein, also with Premier Smith in this vein. So the next stage of that is to sit down across premiers and other groups and start to refine that list and move forward. And we will change things at the federal level that need to be changed in order for projects to move forward.
Does that include C-69 or the emissions cap?
It could include both. Absolutely could include both. But I'm not going to do it conceptually. I'm going to do it on specifics. Do it for moving forward. And that's the point.
So he basically just said at the end, after getting pressed again, that Bill C-69 is on the table, and removing emission caps are also on the table in order to appease Alberta. That's what the last portion, this is what I'm understanding that he said. Now, do you see that ever happening? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's the question. And I forgot to ask the question of the day, but that's what it should have been, right? Is Mark Carney going to stick to his green agenda, or will he cave in to Alberta's demands? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is either he continues doing what he was elected to do or what he talks about in values, or he caves into Alberta to make sure they don't become a sovereign nation. Because those are the two choices at this point. What are you going to do? And if we judge by what he's done up to now, by the way he stood up to Trump last week, we all know that, it would be easy for him to crumble. And his base will probably say that, you know what, we had to do this because Alberta is separating. So we needed to screw the carbon tax, screw carbon emissions, screw all the caps that we have. Let's build some pipeline to keep Alberta together. They've been telling you this for 10 fucking years. What the fuck were you guys waiting for?
Yeah,
you know he's going to spin this shit because he's good. That motherfucker is good.
He's good. He's very good. He's a much better politician than Trudeau.
Oof.
Much better.
Not even the same. They don't even play the same fucking sport.
No. And he is, as you said, he's good. He's definitely going to convince a lot of people. Now, I think, but again, talk is cheap. I think this is true in politics. It's true in the world. What you really want to look at is what someone does and not what they say. And I think the first thing that we can see that he's done is the cabinet yesterday. I think if he was serious about addressing Alberta's demands, we would have seen a much different cabinet. Now, yes, granted, he didn't have too much to work with, considering how few Liberals are out there. But there are some. There's a couple. I think there was one in Edmonton, maybe one in Calgary. They should have both been in there. It should have been at least, it should have been, if it's 30-person cabinet, it should have been 12 or 13 people from the West. But it wasn't.
But they don't have that many, right? They have 2 people in Alberta that were elected, and I believe that they have 1 or 2 in BC. So even if they wanted to, they do not have enough people elected in order to do it. But
Yeah, I mean, you know what's one thing it sort of jumped out to me as I'm listening to this, because one thing that he said is in his campaign is nation building projects, talking about these pipelines, and I actually like that word, right? Because some, like the original nation building project was, probably the Trans-Canada Railway, 200 years ago, and then the Trans-Canada Highway. Just infrastructure projects that are so big they force us to stick together. And I'm thinking, you know what's probably the best way to ensure Alberta stays in Canada is build fucking Canada East.
Give them what they want. Give them what they want.
Give them what they want, because those are reasonable grievances, and build Canada East. Because if they've got that pipeline to the east, they're kind of stuck. They can't go anywhere because they need that, right? So that's one way to ensure it. So there are ways you can keep Alberta in if you take their grievances seriously. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think we talked about this yesterday. I think he thinks they're bluffing. And I think he's in for a rude awakening. That attitude you can see when he gets pushed back by journalists. That's what's going to come out when he feels he's getting pushed at by Alberta. And this is not an interview, Mark. This is the stakes are much, much higher.
But as we started recording, I'm always looking at my ex, and
that's the guy. Right? That guy. Yeah. I have a clip of him. I'm going to play in a second.
I don't know if it's the same clip. Because we both follow
he's in his
gov.exe. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, to show. That's why I brought up his face, because Stephen Gilbo is a Canadian politician. Obviously, he's an activist who has served as Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity. He was, I believe that he became yesterday the Minister of Canadian Heritage of Canada.
Was he also one of the face mask guys?
Yes, 100%. That was that was him with somebody else. But I really like this. If you guys don't follow this dude on X, GOVT, as in government.exe, is corrupt. I fucking love this guy. I don't know who runs it. I have no affiliations with him, but goddamn, he's witty. He writes some fucking witty comments on X. But can I play this video? Because it's about Stephen Gilbo. It's just to show how. So you're saying this yesterday on the same fucking day that she gave a minister cabinet assignment to this fuck. And I haven't looked at this video, but if that guy posted it, it's good.
Premier Smith is saying that
it's the same one I got.
What do you say in response to her concerns, just broadly about the cabinet, and how do you deal with national unity? How do you address that right now?
So on pipelines, people should remember that we bought a pipeline, Trans Mountain, and that is only used right now about 40% capacity. So I think before we start talking about building an entire new pipeline, maybe we should maximize the use of existing infrastructure. And the Canadian
Hold on, can you pause that for a second?
National Energy
Agency, you're telling this fucking guy. So pipeline is using, but that's because it's a completely different pipeline, my man. Like the whole point.
Talking Trans Mountain. That's between Alberta and BC.
Yeah, and the point is like, oh well, let's make sure that's full use of capacity. Well, the big issue is getting gas and oil to Europe. So how the fuck are we going to do that through a pipeline that goes to the West Coast? Like, it's just a nonsense. It's a nonsense argument. This idea like, oh, because this isn't fully utilized, that means there's no need for a Canada East pipeline. The economics are completely different. It's a completely different customer. It's a completely different market. But again, you see the disingenuousness. They're saying things that if you don't really know, kind of sounds reasonable, right? Oh yeah, well, it's not being utilized. But like they're making excuses for why they're not going to be able to do the things they promise already. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the Carney,
especially not on the same day. Carney says something in the evening. That dude says something in the evening. He is part of his cabinet as one of the ministers, and his message goes completely against what Carney said.
Energy regulator, as well as the International Energy Agency, are telling us that probably by 2028, 2029, demand for oil will peak globally.
Oh, shut the fuck up, man. Shut up.
So as far as I know, there are no investors right now. There are no companies that are saying that they want to build an east-west pipeline. And as you know, these things are built by companies, not.
You know why? Because you've put so much fucking red
Yes,
tape in
yes.
place. You made it fucking impossible
Of course.
for companies to build. I don't think they're interested.
There's no
Yeah.
investors. There's no investors. Of course there aren't, because with Bill C-69 in place, that's the exact point. The investors are saying, we want to build it, but we can't with Bill C-69 in place. So just everything about these guys, man, just disingenuous as fuck. And yeah, like as
just for the people, before you go to the question, I just want to show this before, just to make sure that we're all talking about the same thing here. This is the pipeline that he's talking about, like the Trans Mountain pipeline.
Yep.
This is what it is. So just to give it into perspective, like I was saying, is just to cross the mountains, the Rockies between Alberta and British Columbia. This is it. This is it. This has nothing to fucking do with the east-west pipelines that we want going from Alberta all the fucking way to the Atlantic. And for the people that are not very good with their geography, if you look at Canada, the Pacific is on the west. This would be right here. And then Atlantic is right next to where I am, fucking next to Montreal, like next to Quebec and the Maritimes. So we want a pipeline east-west. We want a pipeline north-south, north-south, and we want more than just one going west, sorry. It's insane. Let's utilize what we have. We've been building pipelines. People don't want to invest here. Where the fuck do you think the problem is if people don't want to invest here when we have the third largest reserve of oil and gas in the fucking world? Red tape, red tape, red tape. That's where the problem is.
It's a classic politician thing where they break something and then they complain, oh, it's broken. There's nothing we can do. Yeah, it's broken because you fucking broke it. And I'm just reading about this pipeline here. That's 70 years old. Like what they did a couple years back was they expanded it. But that pipeline has been operating for 70 years. So it isn't anything new. What Alberta is talking about is we need to open up new markets. That's what Canada East is about. And to use that as your reason for why we can't open, it's just such nonsense. I mean,
want to take some of the comments in there before you blow your hat off?
Yeah. And actually, just before, and the video that I had was the same one that you showed. So I'm just going to show one more quick one before we take those comments, because it's only 30 seconds, but it's and we've played this one here on the show before, but as it just shows how full of shit Mark Carney is, because he has said, he has said that,
that's Blanchet. That's Blanchet from the Bloc Québécois.
Yeah, he said we want to work with Quebec. We're going to get these pipelines built. Meanwhile, what's Quebec say about this?
Security of the state in Quebec and the different model in immigration, which has to be successful, and the fact that there's no future for oil and gas, at least in Quebec and probably everywhere. And this has to be said and protected. I have a brand new weapon to do that. Mr. Bonin will be extraordinary.
There's no ambiguity there. There is no future for oil and gas in Quebec. There is absolutely nothing that you could take to say that there is any scenario where a pipeline will get built unless you get rid of Bill C-69. Because
that's the whole point. That is right there. That's what we've been beating on for. Oh, beating on. That is not a great choice of words.
Well, you've been
that's what we've been beating it off for months now. Yeah. If you do not remove Bill C-69, you cannot build pipelines.
It's as simple as that.
No companies are going to invest. The only people that are going to be able to afford to invest is the government. And when's the last fucking time the government did something better, faster, and cheaper than the private sector can? I'll give you the answer. You know how many times? That many times. Zero.
Yeah. It's it's not. It's just, I wish the media would just frame it in that way, because it's really that.
CBC works for them.
Yeah, right? That's right. You get
like
rid
CTV News is as much as she's gonna push, and I was impressed. But technically, she didn't push that hard. I would have pushed 10 times harder than her. But this is as good as we get. Is CTV News. You cannot expect CBC to push anywhere as close, and it's bad when that's the best you get. She did a good job, But did she push that hard? No.
No, she at least identified the
tried.
problem as C-69. That is the problem. But you're right. She didn't push back as much as she should have.
But
So
you're
we'll get
right. She did say she was trying. She did not say it out loud, as in, you cannot do what you're talking about if you don't repeal Bill C-69. She alluded to, I think she pushed as much as she could push while making sure that Carney will come back on her show, where she's not going to lose her job for looking into herself too much. Right?
Yep. I'll take a couple of these comments here.
Yeah, of course. We have a bunch of them.
Yeah, I've got a bunch. Yeah. Northern Hillbilly says maybe they're getting cold feet because, and I believe this is in response to a question earlier, saying that actually his own comment, as reporters go, she's not bad. And then saying maybe they're getting cold feet because people are waking up to them. But I don't think so. There's always an angle with these clowns. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be individual reporters who probably are going to want to push back. The question will be is how much will they be allowed to do so? Right? Like,
and how much is it going to cost them?
And obviously CTV is in a slightly better position because although they are liberal leaning, they're not CBC getting money directly from the government. So
I don't know about that. I'm going to take some comments. I'm going to research this because I'm pretty sure they do.
Mike Fighter, and I believe this might be your first time commenting. Good to see you, Mike. Hopefully you stick around. He says, don't worry. If he fucks around, Alberta is going to separate, and I'm going to move from Ontario to Alberta so I can continue my work right now. I'm a pipeline inspector. So, yeah, you definitely have a stake in this debate. Nothing is going to change.
Mike, pipeline inspector.
Yeah. I mean, that's that says that job is as affected by Carney as any other job specifically. Nothing's going to change. He's the same part of Trudeau's cabinet. They voted for the same things. His wife belongs to a net zero company he has been in bed with. Yeah, I think that's the general consensus, certainly around here, is it's just more of the same. People don't seem to realize, and I don't know how, because it's not a secret, but Carney was Trudeau's main advisor. Right, like he was his top economic advisor, and
for years.
And
if you go back and Google it, 2020 or 2019, there's articles on CTV and CBC saying Mark Carney's working with Trudeau. So this isn't a fucking conspiracy theory. It's fucking the CBC reported on it. Just saying.
And now that we know their personalities, now that we know how Carney is, you know that clearly Carney. You put those two in the room. Carney is by far the more forceful personality. When he's advising Trudeau, what that means is he's telling him what to do.